Do that.
All right, hey there, everybody. I'm Dan McCready here with the old troll of rock and roll himself, the ringmaster, Mr. Ed Perry. How are you, Ed?
Oh, I'm very fine, thank you, Dan. Yes, it's me, the old troll of rock and roll. Time to get the Ford flying and the Chevy shaking. And we're not going to play any songs today to get you into the back seat. That's the problem.
Yeah, because, of course, we've got a major winter storm going on outside. You've been out there covering it, Ed. What's the scene like here in the South Shore?
It seems amplified. I've seen a lot of storms here on the South Shore, and this is a storm that is important, but it did get expanded a little beyond its actual size as far as media is concerned. But that's okay, because I've been out watching the water go up, the various streets, but it doesn't seem like we've had a lot of power outages. It doesn't seem like there's been any damage. I went to Plymouth. I went down to Wrexham Beach and around that neck of the woods. And then I went up to Situate. And there's really nothing happening except for basically for some unhappiness with the people because nobody was coming out to go to their stores or do anything. And it's high tide. It was high tide, it's higher than normal tide. And but it's quite a storm, and it looks now almost like the sun's about to come back out if you look outside there. It's winter, and this is what happens. It doesn't happen that often, but we're getting through it. Didn't see any significant damage to anything, and that's unusual in a winter storm.
Now, you were down by the coastal areas, of course, high tide, some flooding, that's a concern. What have you seen in terms of that?
Oh, I've seen a lot of flooding in the usual places. You go down to Brown Rock, the Esplanade is flooded. In fact, it got flooded when I was there. I was afraid maybe I'd have to swim back. But this happens. Every time you get a very high tide and a lot of wind, this is going to happen. And it is a high tide day today. The high tide is high. And so then I went up to checked out Duxbury, and not much going on in Duxbury. Then I went up to Situate, checked Situate, and it's the usual that when you get wind, when you get a high tide, you basically get water in the streets and in the parking lots, and that's what happens. That's what happens when you live on the beach. When you're out, when you have ocean property, you're going to expect that from the weather.
Now, we, of course, were out and about today because we're covering the storm. You were out and about today covering the storm. Do you recommend people be out and about today if they don't have to be?
No. I would have been inside, reading a book or something. But we're the people who help the people who have to decide whether they want to go out or stay in. And that's our jobs, and we got to do that job. And I think everybody at this radio station does it well, and we have some fun when we're doing it.
So now, for those who do have to be out on the roadways, what advice do you have for them right now?
My advice to you is when you drove to work in the morning, the chances are pretty good that there was very wet, sometimes fluffy snow on the roads, but it wasn't frozen. But the temperatures have dropped, and all of that stuff that was water now, that was puddles that you could just splash through, now you're going to find out that it's a skating rink. And be very careful with that what you saw this morning probably does not exist in terms of a swimming pool. It's a skating rink this afternoon.
All right, so any last words of advice you have for people as we're continuing to deal with this storm throughout the evening tonight?
Well, it's winter. It's almost winter anyway. We're in New England. We expect this. You know how to deal with it. If you don't have to go outside, don't go outside. Stay in, have a nice dinner, have a glass of wine and a beer, and just relax, because that's what life is about. It's not about getting in your car needlessly and trying to avoid driving and slipping on pieces of ice.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Ed. Now, before we wrap up this Facebook Live post, what we're going to do is we've got yield WATD ruler right here.
Yes.
And we're going to go outside, broadcast house, and we're going to get a measurement to see how much snow has fallen so far. So
Let's put some bets on this.
All right, so
We're going to find a place that hasn't been messed with.
we're going to go right out here into the front yard, a broadcast house, and we're going to give you a measurement. So let's see what we got here.
This is where it's been flowing right up, though. Well, okay, let's see. I'm guessing on 7 inches.
7 inches. Okay, Ed says 7. Let's see what yield WATD ruler says. And that is, 5.
5.
5 inches.
But if you take it up there, you'll get 7. Now
All
take it right up there.
We'll take it right up here.
Right up
Let's see
there.
what we get when we go right up here.
Right
So,
up there.
here we go.
Oops.
Oh, wow. That's 3. But actually, like, I want some people to observe this.
Yeah.
Listen to that when I put it in. You can hear a crunch.
Yep.
That means that this is getting harder. The snow is starting to freeze.
That's what it's
So
doing.
we're getting a tougher, freezier, harder, more consistent snow here outside broadcast house. And you're going to see that throughout. Yeah, we're still at about 5 here. So this is what we're seeing out here in front of broadcast house. But this is going to vary.
About 5 inches. Yeah.
About 5 inches here, but listen. The crunch.
It does crunch.
And here we got a little more of the
Yeah,
fluffy
but that's
stuff.
just a pound cruiser one there.
Okay. Now, here, come on over here.
Yeah, I know.
This is where the plow came up. Take a look at that measurement right there.
Look at that. 9.
9.
Yep.